The final day of June on the first coast was relatively quiet in terms of thunderstorms compared to previous days in the late month streak of sea breeze-led thunderstorm days. There was no severe weather, and only one storm was strong enough to receive a special weather statement, which occurred far off to our northwest near the Big Bend region. Despite this, we still managed to see big thunderstorms, with a sea breeze merger happening on the outskirts of Clay County. Looking at the morning area forecast discussion, another stormy day was lined up for our area. Locally, a surface trough was beginning to move southeastward throughout the south, helping to provide some lift for thunderstorm development further into Georgia. However, with the trough off to our northwest, the main initiator for local thunderstorms on the first coast would be mesoscale boundary collisions. These boundaries would be the two sea breezes, with light flow out of the northwest helping to shove the Gulf Coast sea breeze further along through the peninsula. However, since the flow was light, the Atlantic sea breeze would be able to make decent progress inland. This would later result in a sea breeze merger occurring near the Highway 301 corridor, primarily in the counties of Clay, Duval, Alachua, Baker, and Bradford. Severe weather was not expected to occur in our area according to both local forecasts and the Storm Prediction Center. Looking at the SPC outlook, all of Florida was under a general thunderstorm risk for the day. Notably, there was an enhanced risk for portions of the northeastern United States, which is not too common of an occurrence. Much like the rest of June, the environment was set to see decent thunderstorm development. Once again, strong daytime heating and an extremely moist atmosphere would help contribute to strong instability across the Florida peninsula. Locally, surface-based Cape values would range from 2,000 to 4,000 throughout the day, with mixed layer Cape values ranging anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000. Precipitable water values range from around 2.0 to 2.2, with values as high as 2.4 towards the Big Bend of Florida. Thunderstorms first began to develop far out to our west, near the Florida Big Bend. As mentioned in the area of forecast discussion, light directional flow would lead to slow-moving thunderstorms. Between 2:30 and 5 p.m., sporadic garden-variety thunderstorms would develop along the Gulf Coast sea breeze. The Atlantic sea breeze would also spawn a few showers and isolated thunderstorms, with the Atlantic breeze being slower to move inland. By 5:20 p.m., the Atlantic sea breeze was just beginning to move over the St. Johns River, with the Gulf Coast sea breeze approaching the Highway 301 corridor. More formidable thunderstorms began to develop locally towards 5 p.m., as a large storm formed near McClenny, around the Baker-Duval County border. By 6 p.m., smaller thunderstorms were beginning to develop along Highway 301 in areas such as Keystone Heights and Stark. The sea breeze merger finally occurred around 6:30 p.m., with thunderstorms quickly beginning to develop and merge along the boundary towards 7 p.m. At 6:30 p.m. that evening, I stepped outside to record some footage as a light rain shower had moved overhead. I was attempting to record any potential lightning that would occur as a result of the sea breeze merger, but soon realized that I was going to have to get much closer if I wanted to see lightning. Storms have been pretty slow to get going today, but I noticed it was raining, so I decided to look at the radar. And it looks like the Atlantic sea breeze and either an outflow boundary or the Gulf Coast sea breeze, it's kind of hard to tell on radar, are about to collide, like, just to our west near Middleburg within the next 10 to 15 minutes. So, yeah, I guess let's see what happens. I decided to drive north to get set up along Blanding Boulevard, which is located between Middleburg and Orange Park. I arrived at around 7:15 p.m., with a thunderstorm located just a few miles away, looking fairly intense on radar. The camera was pointing to the northwest, aiming at the heavier portion of what was now a line or cluster of multiple thunderstorms located just east of Highway 301. This line seemed to be putting off a lot of lightning on radar, but much of it was likely embedded deeper within the heavy rain underneath the storm clouds. Despite this, I still managed to capture a few gorgeous lightning strikes on film. Dude, I know I got that one. That was sick. That was shiny. Yeah, sir. That's what I was looking for. I was expecting the rain to move in soon, and with there not being too many lightning strikes occurring within a viewing range on the outer edges of the storm, I decided to pack up and head home for the night. However, the rain did not end up moving much closer, due to the aforementioned slower motion of the storms. The thunderstorms that developed within this cluster along the sea breeze merger I was observing really did not move very much over their life, and weakened pretty quickly after developing. This was likely due to a variety of factors, but if I had to guess the main reasons, it was probably due to instability from daytime heating beginning to wane as the sun was beginning to set, along with the storms raining themselves out. By that, I mean as the heavy downpours dumped all that rain and cold air out of them, temperatures rapidly dropped around and especially underneath the storms. With much of the warm, unstable air near the ground underneath the storms used up or dissipated by the rain and outflow, there wasn't much left to keep them fueled. Looking at the surface-based Cape map from earlier, towards the 7 to 8 p.m. time frame, Cape had quickly dropped down to around 1000 kilojoules locally, with convective inhibition values beginning to settle in for the evening. Areas of shadowform rain would last through 9 p.m. as the remnants of the storm cluster slowly dissipated. June 30th was yet another interesting day of thunderstorms on the first coast. What I personally found interesting was just how slow the storms we saw develop moved. Once the sea breeze merger occurred, the storms that spawned as a result pretty much sat in place for their whole duration, drifting only a couple of miles at most. As you can imagine, this led to very localized pockets of heavy rainfall totals. Looking at the storm total accumulation, radar estimates have pockets of rain exceeding 3 inches in western Duval County, southwestern Clay, and Alachua County east of Gainesville. The peak of the rainfall occurred in Duval, with rainfall estimates reaching upwards of 5 inches in some spots. I hope you enjoyed my analysis of the thunderstorms that occurred on this day. If you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing if you haven't already, as it lets us know you enjoy what we do here, and it helps the channel reach more people. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you in the next one.